I am completely unsupervised here. No one tells me to go to class. No one tells me to do my homework. No one warns me that wearing your shower shoes in the snow is not a good idea. Last week, I slept for 2 whole days. Nobody woke me up.
2 whole days. That was a clip from the sitcom The Middle, illustrating the stress so many first-year students have adjusting to that first year of college. Now tonight, one university taking it a step further. It says it will help students deal with what they're calling a growing mental health crisis. The University of Michigan announcing that it will stop giving some first-semester students grades, instead grading them on a pass-fail system. This will go into effect in the fall of 2027 and impact roughly 8,000 first-year students in the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. The school says the program is described to, quote, curb the mental health crisis unfolding among college-aged individuals. And the University of Michigan isn't the only school to do this. At least 4 other colleges, you can see them right here, have also made the same call over the past decade. So reaction to the University of Michigan's program, as you can imagine, has been very strong in both directions. Let's take a listen.
It's all about fun and taking all of your money, because you know they're going to take the money for the classes, but then not let these kids know if they're on the verge of flunking out.
I honestly think this is a positive development because it reduces the pressure on students.
Instead of asking our children to rise to the challenge, we're lowering the bar.
Joining us tonight, 2 guests with very different opinions on this issue. Here in studio, we have psychotherapist Jonathan Alpert, and joining us virtually, University of Michigan history professor Derek Peterson. Derek, let's start with you. Thank you so much for joining Top Story, by the way. You're in favor of this decision. What are you seeing in 2026 that makes you think this is a good plan for college students going forward?
Yeah, look, the University of Michigan is a big public institution. Most of our students come from in-state. About 50% of our students come from in-state. Many of them are first-generation students. They're coming out of public school systems. We're not a finishing school for polished students from the East Coast. Most of our students don't come from private institutions. Our students haven't had top-notch guidance counseling necessarily. Some of them have, but and neither have they had necessarily a great high school experience across the board. So not marking them in their first semester, as we're going to start doing, it seems, in the fall of 2027, is to me an opportunity to give a big, capacious, diverse first-year class a chance to experiment with classes that they otherwise wouldn't think about taking, and to free them of the obligation to have to carry around marks that they earn in their first semester for the rest of their lives.
Derek,
it's a way to relieve some of that pressure.
Derek, I'm surprised to hear you say the beginning part of your answer, because the University of Michigan, it's not an easy school to get into.
That's right. It's not. But 50% of our students come from in-state, and a lot of them are first-gen students. We are a public institution. Unlike, private institutions, we take pride in serving the citizens of the state.
Jonathan, your book, Therapy Nation, argues that the language of therapists, of people like yourself, has sort of gotten into the mainstream, and everyone's sort of using these terms loosely. You don't like this idea. Why?
I don't, and I have to disagree with the professor. Regardless of whether students come from in-state or out-of-state or abroad, the school has a great reputation, and it should be rigorous, and school should be tough. And in my very profession, in therapy, we have therapists that are pathologizing ordinary life experiences. So if someone had a bad day, they might be labeled as depressed. If someone has difficulty focusing, they might be labeled as ADHD. And what we're seeing playing out at the university really just mirrors that. And I have great concerns about that. We're creating a culture of fragility instead of resilient students that know how to go out into the workforce.
Derek, your response to that?
No, I don't think that's true, frankly. We're giving students license to experiment in their first semester with subjects that their parents wouldn't necessarily want them to sign on for. My own experience was as a first-year student at the University of Rochester, coming in, studying chemical engineering, having little idea what I was getting into. I flunked most of my first semester classes because I was terrible at chemistry. And thankfully, Rochester didn't record my marks my first year, allowing me to go on through my undergraduate degree, find a different vocation, find a different subject, and succeed. That's what this new policy at Michigan is meant to do, give our students a chance to experiment and find the subject that really suits them.
I know every class and every teacher is different, but in college, usually there's not an attendance policy, right? Or at least a very lax attendance policy. How do you make sure these kids just aren't partying their entire first year there at the University of Michigan, taking a week off to get ready for the big football game, and then maybe taking a week off to recover the next week, and not learning all the valuable things you guys have to teach there?
First of all, the classes will be marked on a pass-fail basis. That's the proposal. So students who don't show up will fail the class and therefore not meet the mark. Second, there will be grades recorded, and so we're working out the policy as I understand it at the moment. So students who are in other departments where first-year classes are required, other colleges will have those marks recorded, and they'll go into their transcripts if they're in engineering or the arts or other subjects that are not in literature, science, and the arts, which is the college we're talking about here. And third, after the first semester, marks will be on the record. The idea is to give students space to get up to speed with college so that they can meet the rigors that Michigan does demand. Because as you said, this is a very high achieving institution, and our students need to be kept, held to account for what they're learning after their first semester.
You hear what Derek says here, Jonathan. Where's the line between what Derek is saying, which, you hear him say it, and it makes all reasonable sense. There's so much anxiety, so much pressure put on kids these days. But where's the line between that and coddling these kids?
Well, there is a lot of anxiety and depression, but Michigan's own study in 2025 showed a decline in rates of anxiety and depression. So I do wonder where this program is coming from. I think the opposite of the professor. I think we need to be tough on students. It helps to prepare them for the workforce. Once they get into the workforce, I don't think they have the accommodations that they're seeing currently at University of Michigan.
Yeah, Derek, in this same year that Michigan is sort of loosening grades to protect mental health, other schools are tightening them. Harvard actually voted to restrict the number of A's their professors can give out in undergraduate classes to 20% to prevent grade inflation, which has been happening not only in college but in high schools too. Can those problems exist simultaneously, grade inflation and a mental health crisis? And if so, what's the fix?
Yeah, we've been talking in faculty government about ways that we could potentially take something like a Harvard approach to grade inflation. We're not there yet. It is true that we give out a lot of A's, as does every American institution. In my own classes, I give out B's and C's pretty regularly, I would say. And many of us feel the obligation to distinguish between top quality work and lesser work. But it is a problem. I don't deny that grade inflation is an issue. I don't think this first year policy, however, is a step in the wrong direction. To the contrary, it gives students a chance to experiment and allows us to better fit our students into the programs that we actually teach where they can succeed.
So, Derek, since you're the one who's on the faculty here, explain this to me. How would law school and or medical schools look at a kid from the University of Michigan? Would they judge them on 3 years, or is there still a process to judge them on 4 years? Say there's a kid who goes to the University of Wisconsin up against a kid from the University of Michigan. They're applying to the same law school. How does the University of Michigan put out those transcripts?
So we haven't as yet come up with the policy that will determine what the transcript will look like. The expectation that I have is that for the first semester, it will be for students within LSA, within this college that makes up about 50% of the undergraduate body here at U of M. Students will get pass-fail marks in their first semester, and thereafter will get ordinarily the marks that one would get, A through F, as it were. So the transcript will, the first semester marks will be not counted toward the GPA, but after the first semester, the transcript will look like any other transcript.
Yeah.
Many institutions have done this in the past. My own undergraduate transcript looks like this, as do many other undergraduate transcripts at other institutions. I don't think it will be a problem for our students. If anything, it will allow our students to find their footing and succeed better as undergraduates going forward after the first semester.
Jonathan, is there something to be said about tough love, about the school of hard knocks, and do you have to sort of meet reality, even though you're 18 years old, in America, your freshman year, your first semester?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you get a C or a D in a class, that's a time to reevaluate what you're doing in school. Maybe you need to change your study habits. Maybe you need to go meet with the professor or a teacher's aide and get some extra help. So I think it can be helpful and indicative if you get a poor grade. And I do think University of Michigan is doing a disservice for these students.
Derek, I'll let you have the last word here since you came on and you're from the university.
No, I don't think that's true. Again, Our students are diverse, coming from lots of different backgrounds. The idea that somehow we're going to give them tough love and show them what the world is really like, they already know what the world is really like. They're living in a macrocosmic world in which all the traumas, all the difficulties, all the violence, and all the pleasures of this world are available to them on their cell phones in a way that wasn't true when I was an undergrad. All this puts a lot of pressure on our students' sense of well-being. We're not trying to coddle students. If anything, we're trying to give them the experience of failing spectacularly, if they need to, in their first semester by trying out stuff they don't expect to be good at, with the expectation that they'll find their footing after the first semester and go on to succeed in the rest of their undergraduate years.
Everyone likes to take a mulligan every now and then. That might be the philosophy here, and it might work.
That's
Derek
right.
Peterson, we thank you so much for being here. Jonathan, also, we thank you so much.